Hello Mabuhay, Antonio Rodolfo Soriano Jr. is here, and welcome to another episode of my Salute series, and today, I will salute on Caillou, but before I start the salute, I want to make it clear that my intention is not to disrespect or criticize anyone's personal opinions. I fully understand that Caillou has its fair share of critics, many of whom may have formed their views based on what they've seen or heard from others, especially adults whose opinions may have been shaped by frustration, stress, or negative experiences. Everyone's perspective is valid, but I hope to offer a more balanced take, especially from the viewpoint of how young children might actually perceive and benefit from this show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. 3, 2, 1, charge. Caillou is a Canadian preschool animated TV show that first aired in 1997, based on a series of books by author Christine Leroux and illustrator Helene Disputes. It follows the everyday life of a curious 4-year-old boy named Caillou as he explores the world around him, guided by his parents, teachers, and his little sister, Rosie. Now, I know what you're thinking. The animation is simple, the stories are slow-paced, and yes, Caillou does cry or whine sometimes, like when something bad happens. But remember, this show was never made for adults. It was designed for toddlers and young children who are just beginning to understand emotions, routines, and social situations. Instead of wild adventures or flashy visuals like many generic cartoons that children like to watch without value, Caillou focuses on small, a lot of everyday moments, like going to the doctor, helping in the kitchen, starting preschool, or dealing with frustration. These episodes aren't meant to entertain grown-ups or teach main academics, and that's where I think Caillou deserves more credit. For a child who's scared of getting a haircut or frustrated about sharing toys, seeing a character like Caillou go through the same thing, then talk it out with calm adults, can be incredibly comforting. It's not always perfect, but it's intentional. Now let's go on to the characters and bio. At the center is Caillou himself, a 4-year-old boy full of curiosity, big feelings, and endless questions. Some viewers criticize him for being whiny or spoiled, but remember, he's 4 years old, and preschooler, and the show never glorifies bad behavior. In fact, it often uses his moments of frustration, jealousy, or fear to teach coping skills and emotional awareness. He makes mistakes, but he learns from them, just like a real child. One example is that in Caillou Joins the Circus. You see right here, Caillou was crying and whining because Daddy told him that circus wasn't there that day. Oh geez, I felt sorry for him. This proves my point, and too bad a lot of people on social media mocked him so badly. That crosses the ethical point of the community, both real life and social media. No matter how bad things happen, Caillou doesn't give up and learned his lesson at the end of most episodes. Geez, the next one on the left, Rosie is Caillou's 2-year-old sister. She's still in that toddler stage, often babbling or tagging along while Caillou figures out how to be a big brother. The relationship can be chaotic at times, but it's sweet too. Episodes often focus on Caillou learning to share, be patient, or adjust to not always being the center of attention. Caillou's parents are calm, understanding, and patient, some would say unrealistically so. But again, the show is meant to model how parents can respond gently to childhood emotions. They don't or rarely yell or scold. Instead, they guide Caillou through big feelings with kindness and clear boundaries, in a safe and non-judgmental way ahead for him. For young viewers, this presents a safe and reassuring model of parenting. Gilbert isn't just a pet, he's Caillou's silent companion. While he doesn't talk, he's always around as a comfort figure or a playful distraction. For kids, having a pet in the mix adds warmth and familiarity to the home setting. Caillou's grandparents, or grandpa and grandma, also play a regular role. They're loving, active, and often involved in Caillou's adventures, whether it's baking cookies or going on a trip to the park. These characters emphasize intergenerational bonding, something that many young children can relate to, or find comforting. One of the first things people notice about Caillou is how simple the animation looks. No flashy colors, no wild effects, just basic, clean lines and pastel backgrounds, and for many adults, that seems, boring. But for toddlers, it's perfect. Let's break it down. Shall we? It uses visual simplicity. Caillou uses a very soft, storybook-style aesthetic. The characters are outlined in thick lines with gentle colors, and the backgrounds are often, or even blank. This is intentional. For children under 5, excessive visual detail can be overstimulating or confusing. Caillou's world is quiet and easy to follow, helping young viewers focus on the story and emotions, not the background noise. The next one is going slow and calm pacing. Unlike fast-paced cartoons designed for older kids, Caillou takes its time. Scenes unfold slowly, characters speak clearly, and the plot is always simple. For example, an entire episode might just focus on Caillou learning to tie his shoes or feeling nervous before a trip to the doctor. That slower rhythm allows preschoolers to absorb what's happening, process emotions, and relate it to their own lives. Next, it uses narration from Grandma. A unique touch in early seasons is the grandmother narrator. She reads Caillou's stories like she's flipping through a picture book. This reinforces the idea that Caillou is a slice-of-life show meant to feel warm, cozy, and familiar, like story time with a loved one. For the episode structure, episodes are often split into mini stories, sometimes with 3 short segments per episode. These bite-sized adventures are ideal for short attention spans. Each one focuses on a single emotion, lesson, or experience, like sharing toys, saying sorry, helping when needed, or being scared of the dark. So while some may say Caillou is too slow or too plain, for a preschooler, they're just beginning to understand the world. It's designed with intention. It speaks gently, moves at their pace, and meets them right where they are emotionally and developmentally. At first glance, Caillou might seem like a show where nothing really happens, but that's because the action isn't in the plot, it's in the emotions. For toddlers and preschoolers, everything feels big. That's where Caillou really shines, in helping young children name, understand, and cope with their feelings. Kids can be feeling frustrated, jealous, nervous, so is Caillou. There are entire episodes where Caillou feels upset because he has to leave the park, or because Rosie accidentally ruins his toy. These moments aren't about overreacting, they're about recognizing that children are still learning how to deal with disappointment, and instead of punishing him for acting out, the adults in the show validate his feelings and model healthy ways to cope. This isn't just realistic, it's educational. It teaches kids that emotions are okay. What matters is how you express them, and learn from them. Up next, the show doesn't avoid bad behavior, it teaches through it. One of the biggest criticisms of Caillou is that he cries, whines, or complains. But that's the point. Children watching aren't just seeing Caillou throw a tantrum, they're seeing what happens next. They see how his parents respond calmly, how he reflects, apologizes, and learns. That's a valuable lesson. It's okay to make mistakes. Growing up is about learning, and Caillou shows that process gently and honestly, at their own pace. Beyond managing emotions, the show often highlights kindness, empathy, and fairness. Whether he's learning to share toys, welcoming a new friend, or understanding why someone feels sad or hurt, Caillou is shown growing, not just behaving. For young viewers, this helps lay the foundation for emotional intelligence. By now, it's no secret that Caillou is one of the most polarizing preschool shows out there. Ask any parent online, and you'll likely hear something like, "Ugh, Caillou is so annoying. He whines too much." This show teaches kids to be spoiled. And just like that, Caillou becomes the butt of memes and parenting rants across the internet. But here's the truth. Many adults misunderstand the show's purpose, and it's time we look at what's really going on beneath the surface. It wasn't made for grown-ups. One of the biggest misconceptions is that Caillou is bad because it's irritating to adults. But Caillou was never meant to entertain grown-ups. It was carefully designed for very young children, especially ages 2 to 5. That means slower pacing, gentle stories, and yes, accurate depictions of toddler emotions, including whining, crying, and tantrums. To a toddler, Caillou isn't annoying. He's relatable. They see themselves in him. They don't just watch the show. They feel seen by it. Another mistake is assuming that every time Caillou acts out, the show is saying, "This is okay." But that's not true. Caillou shows kids what it's like to have a big feeling, and then walks them through how to handle it. He often learns a lesson, apologizes, or finds a better way to express himself. The show doesn't escalate bad behavior at all. It reflects real development. It gives space for growth, not perfection. Many of the complaints about Caillou actually reflect how impatient adults can be with young children. Critics expect a 4-year-old cartoon character to behave like a mature, emotionally regulated adult, which isn't fair or realistic. The show's creators knew this, which is why Caillou models the messy, imperfect learning that children go through daily. And honestly, a show that embraces that honesty is rare and valuable. And the truth is, it's a show about emotional growth, not instant or absolute obedience. If you watch Caillou expecting discipline, neat morals, or traditional good behavior, you'll miss the point entirely. This show isn't about controlling children, it's about understanding them. It says, kids cry, kids get jealous, kids make mistakes, and that's okay. What matters is how the adults around them guide them through it. And in that way, Caillou isn't a failure. It's a quiet, gentle success. Despite all the internet jokes and backlash, there's one thing that often gets lost in the noise. Kids love Caillou, and more importantly, many benefit from watching it. While adults might roll their eyes at his voice or his behavior, young children see something completely different. So let's talk about what Caillou actually does for children, especially those in their early developmental years. To toddlers and preschoolers, Caillou isn't just a cartoon, he's them. He has the same fears, struggles, joys, and discoveries. When Caillou feels scared about the first day of school or frustrated that he can't get something right, young viewers feel understood. And when he learns to calm down or say sorry, they're learning too, not through big lectures, but through connection. In fact, many children who are shy, sensitive, or slow to warm feel comforted by Caillou's gentle tone. He doesn't overwhelm them, he walks with them. Caillou's value isn't in teaching ABCs or 1, 2, 3s. It's in helping children name and process emotions, like frustration, disappointment, nervousness, or joy. For example, a child scared of the doctor might watch Caillou's checkup episode and feel braver. A kid who throws tantrums might relate to Caillou's big feelings, and then see how to calm down and talk it through. A child with a new sibling might feel less jealous after watching Caillou learn to love and care for Rosie. These are not flashy lessons, but they're foundational. They build the kind of emotional awareness that helps children. These are not flashy lessons, but they're foundational. They build the kind of emotional awareness that helps children later succeed socially and mentally. Despite the online hate, there are many quiet voices, especially among early childhood educators and gentle parenting advocates, who praise Caillou for modeling patience, empathy, and responsive caregiving. In some households, Caillou has helped spark conversations between parents and kids about feelings, routines, and relationships. And while the show may not appeal to every family, it has helped many children grow into more emotionally expressive and self-aware individuals. For children on the autism spectrum, or for those with delayed emotional development, Caillou offers a slow, gentle way to absorb social cues and routines. It doesn't rush, it doesn't shout, it doesn't break off, it meets them on their level, something many shows simply don't bother to do. So the next time someone says Caillou is useless, maybe we should pause and ask, useless to whom? Because for the little ones who feel seen, soothed, and supported by this show, it's far from useless. In a world dominated by flashy animations, rapid-fire editing, and high-energy songs, Caillou might seem like a relic of the past compared to shows like COCO Melon, Blippi, or even the newest rebooted cartoons. It's quiet, it's slow, it's simple, and yet, that's exactly why Caillou still matters, maybe more now than ever before. Many popular kids shows today pack their screen times with non-stop songs, bright visuals, and rapid scene changes. While entertaining, this can overwhelm young minds and shorten attention spans. Some children come away stimulated, but not necessarily emotionally enriched. Caillou is different. It gives children time to process what they're seeing. It's not trying to dazzle, it's trying to connect. It doesn't just fill the air with noise. It fills it with meaningful pauses, moments of reflection, moments that children can understand and relate to, without feeling rushed. Most modern kids shows rely on wild plots, flying cars, magical worlds, silly monsters, and those are fun. But for a toddler figuring out their real-life routines, going to preschool, dealing with a new sibling, learning to say I'm sorry, Caillou feels more focused and useful. There's value in reminding kids that they're normal. Everyday feelings are worth paying attention to, that it's okay to feel big emotions, even over small moments, that life doesn't have to be loud to be meaningful. In recent years, more parents are seeking calm, mindful screen time for their children, especially those who are easily overwhelmed or have sensory needs. Caillou, with its soft voice, slow transitions, and gentle music, provides peaceful alternative. It's one of the few shows that actually supports regulation instead of simply overstimulation and other addictive effects on young children. For some kids, watching Caillou isn't just entertainment, it's comfort. In the era of conscious or gentle parenting, Caillou offers a subtle model of what healthy emotional guidance looks like. The adults in the show don't scream or punish. They explain, comfort, and redirect. While some critics call this unrealistic, many parents actually see it. Many parents actually see it as aspirational. It helps caregivers learn how to handle tricky moments with patience and empathy. So yes, Caillou may not trend on YouTube, or flood your child's screen with animation tricks, but for families looking for something quieter, kinder, and more emotionally focused, it still has a place, now more than ever. And now, for my personal point of view. So now, after exploring the purpose, the lessons, and the misunderstandings around Caillou, I want to end with something personal. I first met Caillou when I was 8 years old. It was my birthday, April 8, 2015, and my grandpa gave me some DVDs of the show. I didn't expect much. I was already older than the show's target audience, but as I sat down and watched those soft-spoken episodes, something clicked. It wasn't about being entertained in the usual sense. It was about comfort, about peace, about stepping into a world that didn't demand anything from me. Just let me feel. The episodes weren't loud or intense. They were simple, slow, and gentle. And for me, at that time, it was exactly what I needed. That gift from my grandpa didn't just introduce me to a cartoon. It opened the door to something quieter and more thoughtful. A show that made me reflect on what it means to be patient, kind, and emotionally aware. And that stayed with me. Even I am already grown up, and I will adore this show for how I live. Some of my favorite episodes of the show are Caillou flies on a plane, Caillou at daycare, Caillou goes to the zoo, The Caillou Show, Caillou and the Tooth Fairy, Caillou's Song, Big Kid Caillou, Caillou Makes a Meal, Caillou's Surprise, A Surprise for Miss Martin, A Surprise Sleepover, and Caillou and the Dragon. Wow, what a bunch. So in conclusion, Caillou isn't for everyone, and that's okay. It was never meant to be a blockbuster hit or an internet sensation. It was made for preschoolers, especially the ones feelings and need gentle stories to help them understand the world. It's not perfect, but it's purposeful. It values emotional growth over fast laughs, calm storytelling over visual chaos, and it honors what it's like to be 4 years old in a big world. So before we dismiss it with memes or misunderstandings, maybe we should look at Caillou the way a child does, not as an annoying voice on screen, but as a little friend learning how to grow up. Slowly but with love and gentle care. That really pops me off. This is one of the best cartoon shows for preschoolers I ever seen, even though I first encountered it when I was around 1st or 2nd grade. But still, and that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed my salute video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't, like this video if you're interested, and leave a comment if you like, but please be civil and respectful, always. That's all for this video. This is Antonio, over and out. See you in the next video.